Well, hello everyone, and welcome to, I guess what we're going to call our 10-minute build series. Although, I don't really know if this is going to be 10 minutes or not. Could be longer, could be shorter. But either way, today, this is what we're doing. We're going to be building a stream and a bridge. Now, this little area here that we're going to be working on is right down the road from our actual base, and this is the path that heads to Hobbit H.Q. So with this being a 10-minute build, I guess let's just go ahead and jump right into the build. So what we're going to do here is a little stream coming through, and then a simple arched bridge right here. Now, I'm going to do a very simple arched bridge because where we're going to put a lot of our time and effort is actually in the stream and the surrounding area, working on all the flowers and things like that. Now, obviously there is no river running through here, and not even a stream, and really not even a pool of water. We have lava. That is the exact opposite of what we need, although it does work, and I left it here for lighting purposes. It gives a nice little glow back here without me actually having to put anything down. So what I'm thinking about doing is we're going to do an underground spring. So basically everything is going to be coming out of this general area here, because pretty much the hill goes up here. I don't want to start way down there and have to work it all the way down. I would much rather just have something kind of flowing along through here. Now, with anything, one little project can create some big problems, and my big problem is, well, this mushroom right behind me. I don't want to get rid of it because it is aesthetic for the pathway right there, and it's good backdrop, but it's a problem because right here is where I want to flow that river. So what possibly could we do to fix that? Well, we think about the terrain. So if I walk back down here, we know that our bridge is going to go over this little bump here. This is probably going to be one of our lowest points right here. We could maybe go one block lower if we needed to. So that is 1, 2, and 3 blocks. So right there, we're going to be from this point to that point, we're going to be 3 blocks at our lowest, which gives us a little bit of room to play up here. So what I'm thinking about doing is if we can go 2 blocks down, that'll give us down to our 3 block depth. And then we could maybe even spare one more, because we do dump off right here, which is what I'm planning on doing with it, is just letting it dump into here, and then I'm probably actually going to bust that river there a little bit, have it dump into here, and make this look like just an area where all the water kind of flows into. Will I detail that all later? I don't know, probably not. I have a lot of things going on, but I think that is probably going to be the best idea. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to hop over here and dig this out, and I'll be right with you in just a moment. Alright, so we have our hole dug out here, and what I've done is, I've actually went down one more block further than I was talking about originally, which brings us to this level here. And then I've dug down a few other blocks because, as we know, water is moving and running, so as it moves, it's going to be washing away the landscape. It's going to be kind of eroding certain areas, so I'm adding that into the details. And then also on this side, I've also had it come down another notch here, so we've got a step down, and then it widens on both sides, a little bit more to this side. And I did that because as the water comes down, well, it's going to be slowly eroding this as it falls over this edge into a waterfall. Again, keeping with kind of like what Mother Nature would do in real life, you know? You just kind of pay attention to what it does. Water moves things, water changes the landscape. So now that we've got this, what I've got is an assortment of blocks here, and these are what I consider ground blocks. Now, before I put all my water in here, what I want to do is make sure that I have my ground covering complete. Unless you're ever going to go ahead and put like any kind of coral or anything like that, then you want to make sure you put your water in first so that it doesn't die. But other than that, do your groundwork first before you put your water, because that makes your life a whole lot easier, trust me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put a couple blocks randomly. I think I'm going to go mud here. Because the mud would have probably settled down a little bit and washed in. I'm going to do a little bit of pod soil. Now, I like pod soil because it gives that darker, muddy color. And it almost looks like there's a little bit of like algae or something growing on it. So pod soil is always a really good one if you're doing rivers or ponds or things like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and dot a few blocks in here, and then I'll come back as soon as we have that done. So now that we have a bunch of detail put into the floor, and everything is looking a lot better than it was, and it's not so just plain anymore, now we're going to start working on the water. So what we want to do is, whenever you're dealing with large areas like this that you've got to fill with water, you can just fill it with a water bucket if you want, but that's going to take way too long. So what I suggest is getting yourself some ice and then just kind of filling in the area and then breaking the ice, leaving behind full water sources as you go. So I'm just going to fill all this in with these ice blocks up to the height that I want, and then I'll come back and I'll break it all and we'll have full source blocks. So let me sleep fill all this with ice, and then I'll be right back again. Well, now that we have all our ice in here and have made a really nice skating ring, it's time to start breaking this water. Now, I could start at that end, but I think what I'm going to do is start at this end, because this is the end that could make me flow off the edge, and well, I want to work against that. So, let's go ahead and we'll start breaking these blocks, and we're going to instantly start getting water sources everywhere that we break a block. And there we go. Now we have one river installed, and it is flowing over here into this area, just as I was hoping it would. And it actually is kind of not filling in this area, which is actually even better, because I really didn't want to do that, but just to make it look right, if it flowed too far, I was going to have... It looks fun. It looks fun. I can live with that, and I'm happy with that. So now we've got to do a little bit of work to the back area, because we dug it out, but it doesn't really look like the river is coming from anywhere. It just kind of looks like, well, it's just here. And the way that we're going to fix that is with some dirt, and we're just going to kind of fill this area in a little bit. I don't know why I got out of here when I needed to come back down, but we're going to fill this area in just a little bit and kind of backfill and make it look a little bit like a cave. Okay, now that I have the dirt, let's fill this in just a little bit like this. Kind of something like this here. Yeah, I like that. And then we'll just kind of bring it out just a little bit more. Maybe all the way to here like that. Yeah, that looks good. Now let's bring this down so it's only like a 1 wide, right? So that way you can see back there. Yeah, now see, that makes sense. That's like a little underground cave. Now before we get too much further with building this river, we need to figure out where this bridge is going to go so we can figure out where we're going to put all of our decorations after we get the bridge in. Now the bridge is going to be the focal point of this path, so we want to make sure that we put it in a good spot and then work everything else around it. There's nothing worse than putting in a detail and really liking it and then realizing it's going to go, because that's where the path is going to go. I think right here will probably be one good anchor point, right here on the edge. Now what we want to do is we want to bring that up, and I'm going to add just a little bit of detail as we come up, just to show that everything's kind of worn down a little bit. Now, I don't know exactly how high I want to go, because remember, this bridge is going to arch a little bit, so I'm only going to bring it up to about there. But what we need to do is the same thing over here on this same anchor point right there, and then I think what I'll do is we'll change it up a little bit, and we'll throw a little bit there like that. That gives us a little bit of contrast, and everything's not so grayed out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right over here to the other side, and I'm just going to kind of fix these 2 points here so I know where I'm working with. Alright, and now we have some structural support for the bridge. So now what we need to do is we need to start figuring out this arch right here. Now there's a lot of ways that you can do it, and there's probably a few ways that I do it depending on the type of bridge that I do. But for this one, what we're going to do is we're just going to start laying down some blocks here and kind of going off and seeing how it goes. I think what I'm going to do is probably just speed this up or see you when I get back, because it's pretty much just a put a block and see if it looks right, and then go back and then step back and go back. It's kind of that thing. So I'll see you in just a second. Alright, now that we have our outline of our bridge, and I'm noticing that I made a mistake, let's go ahead and fix the mistake, and then we'll continue with the bridge. So the mistake was, I want this bridge to be this wide. Because you want to be able to pass people as you're walking. You want enough space for like a horse and a carriage to come through here. But what I did not do is I did not put these in the right spot. See, these should have been 1 block out each. And this should have been over 1 more block as well. So I'm going to fix that, and then I'll be right back in 1 moment. Okay, now that that mistake is corrected, what we need to do is we need to start thickening this bridge up, because right now it looks pretty thin. And honestly, I don't even think it could hold the weight of a person, let alone a cart or a horse or anything like that. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and add a little bit of something on the sides here to give it a little bit of structure and give it a little bit of thickness. There we are, and then we'll come on across like this as well. So we'll stop it there, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. There we are. Now that looks a little bit better, but we still got a little bit of work to do, and what I would like to do is something in here to make it look a little bit more structurally sound. And that is where stone comes in. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to start placing some stone blocks just to make it look like it has a bit of a foundation. Maybe this as well, and then this is where you really start to get into all of your details and your little busy work that's kind of in the background that most people won't see, but you never know, somebody might. And there we go. Now by adding all these blocks, it looks like there's enough structure under here to hold the weight of this bridge. I went through and added just a bunch of random blocks everywhere, trying to think about the structural integrity of the bridge itself, while still trying to make it look pretty nice. Now the other thing we have is these pillars that sit off to the side, and if you notice, well, these trees are right above them. Now normally I would just take the trees out on either side, but I still want you to feel like you're in a forest, and I want you to feel tucked in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove some of the leaves, relocate them, change the height of the tree, and then that should fix the problem. Okay, now that the leaves are out of the way, what I did was I trimmed them all back, and then I just kind of built the tree up so it looked a little bit taller, seeing how I had to shrink it back on the sides. And again, this is kind of the process. I don't want it to all blend in, so yeah, we're gonna just go with this. And I think that's gonna look okay. So what I want to do is stack a couple of these up on either side, and then I'll be right back. Okay, now that we have these up, I think what we need to do is kind of bring this down to make it believable that it is actually holding this. Now, I think that'll work. And then what we'll do is we'll place a stone here. Yeah, that worked out pretty good actually. So then we'll do one more here. Probably need to bring it down one there. And then we'll work this one as well. Yeah, I think that works pretty good. So I'll just duplicate that on the other side. And now that we have that, what we need to do is kind of work a little something in here in the center. Think something like that, and then what we'll do is we'll actually have it come down one. I think that might actually look pretty good. Yeah, something like that. So I'll just do that on the other side. There we are. That looks a lot better. Now what I've done is I've added another block up there and made them one block taller. That way I could add these trapdoors around the top as well as the bottom so that they kind of match. And I think that's looking pretty good. Now, we do need to add some lighting, which I believe I have a couple torches here, or lanterns, I should say. So what I want to do is, I'm not so worried about the lighting up here, because I'm going to have plenty of these hidden all around here. So what I want to do is actually hide some lighting down here. And because we've got this extended drop here in between where the water starts and the bridge, I think what we can do is kind of hang a couple lanterns pretty low. Well, that's not where that's supposed to go. And we'll use the soul lantern so it gives that nice blue glow. We'll do one there. And then I think we'll do one over here as well, but we'll go only 2 on this one. So it's not quite as low. Alright, now that the bridge is in, what we need to start focusing on is all the little details around it to really make this area look like it's supposed to be here and not just something that's been plopped in. And the way that we're going to do that is, well, we're going to use a whole lot of flowers and bushes. So I'm going to go crazy with a whole bunch of flowers, bushes, and other little things, and then I'll come back and we'll take a look at the finished build together. The bridge is done. So as we head up these stairs right here, you're going to be introduced into the bridge and the area that is complete. Now, as you can see, I've done a lot of flower work here, kind of the same thing that I've done down here. The only difference is really that I'm starting to thin the flowers out just a little bit closer to the road and putting more in the background as you get deeper into the forest. So again, over here, it's pretty thin right here. There's just a few flowers, but then when you look back here, there's a whole lot of flowers everywhere back here. So yeah, this is kind of the detail work that I'm doing on the side of the path, because when you get closer to these structures like this one down here, you're going to have more people around, so there's going to be more detail to the edges of the path. People are going to pay more attention to it and do more detail work. But like when you get further into these paths down here, into these roads, people don't really care, you know? People don't worry about what it looks like or how it looks. They just care if the road is functional. So that's one way that you can kind of use a little bit of storytelling in your builds. Now let's head on down here to the river and we'll take a look at what's been done down in this area. Now from this angle here, you can kind of just catch a glimpse of how the river's flowing down and you've got a little bridge back there, which is kind of what I wanted. I wanted it tucked into this forest really, really well. Now here in the river, I've used the green, the lime green, and then the brown candles here. And I really like that. I think that looks really well. And it really gives off that look like there's a cattail growing right here. So yeah, I think those look really nice. Again, I've done a lot of flower work in here as well underneath the bridge. Added a few of the firefly bushes to give a little bit of lighting effect down here as well, a little bit of that twinkle, along with the firefly effect when you're going over the bridge and around the bridge and stuff. So I think that looks Really good. I've hidden a lot of those out in the woods and in the forest here. Now the path will continue on down this way here. I've added a little bit of leaf litter here, and it's on the other side as well. Just giving that a little bit extra sound and crunch when you walk over it, and also it gives it a, a little bit of texture as well on the path. Now I've stopped it here because, as you can see, there's a sign up there, and I'm not going to ruin the surprise because that is for the next video. Now these little videos are going to be videos that I do just kind of on the side in between my Whimsy videos and streaming and everything else that I've got. They're just going to be kind of like little chill videos, just something that we can hang out, we can do a little build and relax, and it doesn't have to have any of that real big crazy energy, just, come vibe and chill. So in the next Build With Me episode, we're going to go ahead and start working on that next project down there, which it's going to be really fun. I'm excited for that one as well. So as always, everyone, I enjoyed you being here, and we'll exit this video with a little bit of B-roll from the finished build here. So I hope you enjoy that, and see you in the next one. Bye!